The barn smelled of hay and iron. Dust hung in the air, caught in weak sunlight. She stood near the stall door, arms crossed, jaw set. He leaned against the wooden beam, silent, hat pulled low, boots half sunk in dirt. The space between them felt heavier than the roof. "You're not listening," she said, her voice cut sharp. "I can't keep living like this." He didn't move. "I'm done waiting for promises that never come," she pressed. "I'm tired of counting coins, like scraps. I want a life, a real one." His hands stayed in his pockets. The silence was his answer. "You think pride will feed us?" she asked. "You think this land is worth more than food on the table? Worth more than me?" Still nothing. Just the slow turn of his head, his eyes fixed on her, unreadable. "I've met someone," she said finally. "He can give me what you can't. A house, a future, money that doesn't come and go with the weather." His breath caught, but he didn't speak. His silence pressed harder than her words. "You knew this was coming," she said. "Don't pretend you didn't. I begged you to change. You wouldn't." The horse in the corner shifted hooves, scraping against wood. The sound filled the gap where his reply should have been. "Say something," she demanded. "Anything." His voice came low, rough. "You've already chosen." "I had to," she shot back. "You gave me no choice." He looked down at the dirt floor. His boots traced small lines, restless. When he lifted his head again, his eyes were tired. "And who is he?" "You don't need his name," she said. "Only that he's not you." Her words landed like a whip. He turned his face away, jaw clenched. The barn swallowed the silence. "I won't beg," she continued. "Not anymore. I won't beg you to fight for me, or for us. I won't beg you to leave behind this dead ranch, these broken dreams." His voice was flat. "Then go." The word cut her short. She blinked, as if expecting him to argue. "That's it? That's it? No fight? No asking me to stay?" "You already left," he said. His tone was calm, but his eyes burned. "Standing here don't change that." Her throat tightened, but she forced herself to stay strong. "You'll regret this." He shook his head. "No, I'll regret trusting you." She stepped closer, her boots kicking up dust. "I loved you. You loved what you wanted from me," he said. "Not me." She flinched. "You think you know me? I know enough." The barn seemed smaller now, the air heavy. She crossed her arms again, hiding the shake in her hands. "He offered me more than you ever could." "Then take it," he said. "Take his money. Take his house. See if it keeps you warm when the nights turn cold." Her jaw trembled. "You think this is easy for me?" He stared. "Looks easy." She swallowed hard, blinking fast. "I wanted to believe in you. I wanted to believe you could give me a life. But you just stand there, always silent, always waiting. I can't live in your silence." His reply was simple. "Then don't." Her lips parted, but no words came. For a moment, the fight drained from her, leaving only weariness. Then she straightened. "He's waiting for me." He nodded once, slow. "Go on then." She hesitated, eyes searching his face for something, anger, pleading, maybe even hope. But he gave her nothing. His stillness was a wall she could not climb. "You'll see me again," she said. "Not if I can help it." Her breath caught. "Cruel." "No," he said. "Honest." For a long moment, they stood locked in silence. Then she turned, lifting her skirts from the dirt, walking toward the barn door. Her boots echoed against the planks, steady, certain dot at the threshold. She paused. The sunlight framed her in gold, her shadow stretching back into the dim barn. "Goodbye," she said, voice soft now, almost breaking. He didn't answer. She stepped out into the light. Outside, the rumble of carriage wheels waited, another man's world calling her away. He stayed where he was, hidden in the dim barn. his hand pressing hard into the beam until his knuckles turned white. The wheels rolled. Hooves struck the earth. The sound grew faint. He didn't move, didn't follow. Only when the dust settled did he lift his hat, run a hand through his hair, and let out the breath he had been holding. The barn was quiet again, too quiet. He walked to the stall, resting his hand on the horse's neck. The animal flicked its ear, uneasy, sensing his weight. He whispered low, almost to himself. "She's gone." The horse shifted, but he stood steady. His shoulders dropped, heavy. He closed his eyes. For a moment, the silence wrapped around him like chains. A creak at the barn door broke it. His younger sister stepped inside, clutching a basket. Her eyes darted to his face. "She gone?" He nodded. "She's gone." His sister set the basket down. "She won't come back. I don't expect her to." "You should hate her," the girl said. He shook his head. "No, I should have known better." The sister studied him, lips pressed tight. "What will you do?" He looked around the barn, at the broken tools, the empty feed sacks, the sagging beams. His voice came steady, though low. "Keep going." His sister frowned. "Just that?" For now. She walked closer, her hand brushing his arm. "You don't deserve this." "Maybe I do." "No," she said firmly. "You don't." He met her eyes, saw the fire there, the same fire their mother once carried. He gave her a small nod. "Go on inside. I'll finish here." She lingered a moment longer, then left him in the barn's silence. The door shut behind her. He stayed still, the dust settling again around him. His eyes drifted toward the far wall where his father's old tools hung, rusted, worn, yet steady. He remembered his father's voice. "Land outlives love." He reached for the hammer, gripping it tight. The wood was rough, splintered, but solid. He stood in the quiet barn, alone now, but not broken. His silence was heavy, but it held something new. Not despair, not yet. Something else. The goodbye had been spoken. The promise had been broken, but he was still here, and he would endure. The house creaked when he opened the door. A slow sound like something breathing in its sleep. Dust floated in the narrow beam of light that cut across the floor. He stepped inside, boots heavy, hat still low. The air smelled stale, like wood left to rot. Every corner reminded him she was gone. He walked past the table. Her chair sat pushed back, a scarf draped over it from weeks before. He touched it, then let his hand fall. The silence clung to him. His breath felt loud, wrong, inside the hollow house. In the parlor, the old clock ticked weakly. He stared at it, jaw tight. The sound kept time with nothing. He muttered under his breath, "Dead house." A voice cut through, softer than the silence. His sister stood in the doorway, hands clasped. "You're not eating." He shook his head. "Not hungry. You didn't sleep either." "Doesn't matter." She frowned. "You think if you stay quiet long enough, it'll hurt less." He glanced at her, sharp. "Don't." Her eyes flashed, but she didn't move. She left. That's the truth. No silence will change it. He looked away, past her, to the window where the yard stretched empty. "Truth don't make it easier." "Then read the letter," she said. His head turned back. "What letter?" She stepped forward, pulling a folded envelope from her apron. It was in his desk. "Our fathers." She held it out. "I think it was meant for you." He took it slow, fingers rough against the brittle paper. He stared at his name on the front. The handwriting was heavy, pressed deep, like every stroke had cost effort. He didn't open it yet. His sister waited, eyes on him. "You gonna watch me?" he asked. "I want to hear what he said." He sat in the wooden chair by the cold fireplace, letter resting on his knee. He unfolded it, the paper crackling. His father's voice came through the words, steady even in ink. "Son, if you read this, I'm gone. I left you land, not fortune. Pride, not comfort. you'll be tempted to trade it for quick gains. Don't. Pride will keep you alive when money runs out, but pride alone can kill a man too. Beware men who hold power in town. They will bleed you slow. Remember, no one owns land clean. Every acre is soaked with debt, sweat, or blood. Guard it. Don't bow. Don't break. The words sank in heavy. He folded the letter back, staring at the fire that wasn't there. His sister spoke, voice low. He knew, even then, he didn't look up. He always knew. You believe him. He leaned back, chair groaning. I don't know. You think she left because of pride? He clenched his jaw. She left because of me. She left because of money, his sister said sharply. Not you. Don't twist it. His eyes cut to hers. Enough. She held her ground. You think if you blame yourself, it'll give her reason. But she had none. She wanted the easy path. He stood suddenly, chair scraping. He paced toward the window again. His reflection looked back at him in the glass, hollow-eyed shoulders slumped. He pressed his hand against the frame. He warned me about power. Said they'd bleed me. Maybe he was talking about her too. She's not worth your ruin. He turned, voice hard. She was everything. Not anymore, his sister snapped. Now this house is everything, and it's falling apart. He looked around. The cracked walls, the sagging beams, the floor that moaned under every step. She was right. The house carried his grief like it was built into the rafters. He lowered his voice. Feels like she's still in here. She's not. Only you. Only your ghost of her. He rubbed his face. Rough. I can't shake it. Then don't shake it, she said. Carry it. Use it. His brow furrowed. For what? Her eyes burned. For war. The word hung in the air. Sharp. Final. He stared at her, surprised, but she didn't blink. You think it's just heartbreak? She went on. It's not. They made her believe you were nothing. The bankers, the sheriff, all of them who sit fat while we rot. They pushed her out that door. His chest rose heavy. She chose. Yes. But they handed her the choice. The house creaked again, as if agreeing. The wind pressed against the walls. He thought of his father's letter, of land soaked in blood. His silence deepened. His sister crossed the room, picked up the folded letter, and set it back in his hand. Don't let his words die in a drawer. He stared at the letter, thumb brushing over his father's handwriting. Pride, power, blood. His throat tightened, but he nodded once. His sister's voice softened. You'll have to be colder than her. I already am. Prove it. He slipped the letter into his pocket. I will. They stood there, the hollow house pressing in on them. The rafters groaned. Dust fell like ash. He lifted his hat, set it firm on his head, and walked toward the door. His sister called after him. Where are you going? He paused, hand on the frame, to see what's left. And he stepped outside, leaving her in the still house. The door closed, but the creak lingered, echoing through the empty rooms, like grief that wouldn't leave. The house swallowed it whole. The knock came heavy on the door, 3 hard raps that shook the frame. He rose from the table, hat low, shoulders set. His sister glanced up from the stove, eyes wary. She whispered, Don't answer. He ignored her. He pulled the door open. The sheriff stood on the porch, broad, polished boots shining, badge catching the weak light. His hand rested casual on his belt. His eyes held no warmth. Morning, the sheriff said. The rancher didn't move. What do you want? Can I come in? No. The sheriff smirked. Suit yourself. He leaned against the post, chewing on the silence. I heard she's gone. The rancher's jaw clenched. That your business? It's everyone's business, the sheriff said. Town talks. Man gets left. It means something. Means weakness. Means debt. The rancher kept his face still. Say what you came to say. The sheriff's smile thinned. I came to remind you of what you owe. Land tax, feed loans, and the banknote? All late. I know what I owe. Good. Then you know what happens if you don't pay. Behind him, his sister stepped closer, voice sharp. He'll pay when he's ready. The sheriff's eyes slid to her. Little sister thinks she can speak for the man of the house. She didn't flinch. Better than letting a dog bark at the door. The sheriff chuckled low. Feisty, but feisty don't keep land. Men with money do. He turned back to the rancher. This house, this dirt, it don't belong to you. Not really. It belongs to the men who keep the town running. You just squat here till we say otherwise. The rancher's hand tightened on the doorframe. This land is mine. Not if the bank says different. Not if the governor's office says different. You think your pride matters? Pride don't sign papers. The rancher's voice dropped. My father died for this land, and you'll die with it if you're not careful, the sheriff said. The words hung heavy. His sister's hand clenched into her apron. You came to threaten? I came to warn. Same thing, she snapped. The sheriff's eyes narrowed. Watch that mouth. The men I speak for don't like mouths they can't close. The rancher stepped forward, blocking his sister behind him. You tell your men this land's not for sale. The sheriff shook his head slow. That ain't how it works. You think you're poor by accident? You think drought just happens? Prices just rise. It's no accident. We decide, and right now, we've decided you're finished. The rancher's chest tightened. His silence pressed, but the sheriff pressed harder. You'll bend, the sheriff said, or you'll break. Better men than you have bent. The rancher's eyes were steady. Better men didn't carry my father's name. The sheriff spat in the dirt. Name don't mean nothing when the land gets taken. You'll see. You'll beg. And when you do, don't expect mercy. The sister's voice cut sharp. He won't beg. The sheriff laughed once. You'll beg for him, girl. You'll be the one crying when this house burns. The rancher's voice turned iron. Leave. The sheriff tilted his hat, eyes cold. I'll leave, but I'll be back. And next time, I won't knock. He stepped down from the porch, boots grinding gravel. He mounted his horse slow, deliberate, making sure every sound carried. Before he rode off, he looked back. Tell yourself it's pride keeping you alive, but it's pride that'll bury you. The rancher closed the door. His sister stood stiff, her hands trembling now. He'll come back, she whispered. I know. They'll take everything. Not if I fight. She turned on him, eyes blazing. Fight with what? Empty pockets. Empty hands? With what's mine, he said. Her voice cracked. Pride won't stop them. His hand pressed the folded letter in his pocket. Maybe it will. She shook her head. You sound like him. He looked at her. Good. She stepped closer, her voice low, urgent. They'll bleed us slow. The sheriff wasn't lying. They've done it before. To neighbors, to widows, to families with more than us, and they'll do it again. He didn't argue. He walked to the window. The sheriff's figure was fading down the road, dust curling up behind. He watched until nothing was left but silence. His sister joined him at the glass. You can't beat them alone. He didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the empty road. Say something, she pressed. He finally spoke. I won't bend. Then you'll break. He turned to her. Not yet. The house groaned around them, rafters carrying the weight of the threat. She set her hand on his arm. If you fight them, don't fight like father did. Fight smarter. He nodded once. I will. But his eyes burned, and she knew his pride was louder than his caution. The day dimmed. The house grew colder. He sat at the table again. Letters spread in front of him. Words from his father burning deeper now. Pride, power, blood. He read them over and over until the letters blurred. His sister lit a lantern. What are you going to do? He whispered it, but she heard. make them regret. The flame flickered. The house shivered. Outside, the sheriff's threat lingered like smoke. The air pressed heavy, but inside the silence, his resolve was no accident either. The cemetery lay at the edge of the dry fields, where the grass never seemed to grow higher than a man's boot. The boy walked with slow steps, a folded scrap of paper in his pocket, his hat pulled low against the evening wind. His sister trailed behind, quiet as shadow, clutching a small bundle of wildflowers she had picked from the roadside. The headstone stood crooked, half sunken into the soil. His mother's name was almost rubbed smooth, but he traced it with his thumb anyway, pressing into the faint letters until his hand hurt. He whispered, "I'm here now." His sister set the flowers down. "She can't hear you." "She hears," he said, sharper than he meant. "You always think the dead listen. They do." "She does." His sister wrapped her arms around herself, glancing back at the empty road. "Then tell her what you came to say." He knelt, voice low. "I swear, I'll put it right. Every hand that pushed us down, every name that spat at us, every house that fattened off our hunger, they'll pay." His sister crouched beside him, her face pale. "That's not what she wanted. It's what's left. You'll ruin yourself." "I already am." The wind rattled the fence posts. The boy pressed his palm flat against the stone, as if sealing the words there. "I give it blood," he whispered. He bit the inside of his cheek until it stung, then spat the red onto the dirt. His sister flinched. "Don't do that. It makes it binding. You sound cursed. Then I'll carry it." Silence stretched. A crow flapped from the branches above, wings black against the gray sky. His sister whispered, "Do you remember the night she left the house for the last time?" His hand froze on the stone. "She didn't leave. She died." "That's not what I mean." He looked at her. "Say it plain." "She walked out after father hit her." "You were asleep." "I wasn't." He shook his head. He never heeded. More than once. "She went to the well that night. Came back soaked. She said the water would wash it off." He gritted his teeth. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You wouldn't have believed me." "I still don't." "You don't want to." Father kept her trapped. The town kept her quiet. When she finally tried to speak, they called her sick. Said she drank too much, prayed too little. You know it? He closed his eyes, hearing the echoes of church whispers, the way neighbors turned away at the market. "She carried more than we knew," his sister said. "Secrets nobody wanted spoken." He whispered, "What secrets?" Her eyes darted to the road again. "On her last day, she told me names, men who came to her when father was gone. She said they wanted silence, and she gave it because she had no choice. That's why she feared the sheriff." The boy's stomach turned. "You're lying." "Why would I lie?" "Because you hate this land. I hate what it did to her." He stood, pacing by the fence. The ground felt unsteady. His mother's grave seemed to lean closer, listening. "If that's true," he said, "then all the more reason. Every last one who touched her life wrong. I'll take them down." His sister's voice broke. "You'll end up in the dirt beside her." He stared at the grave, jaw set. "Then I'll lie easy." She reached for his sleeve. "Promise me something else instead. Promise you'll live." He pulled away. "I can't." The sky darkened, shadows spilling over the stones. His sister knelt again, laying her hand where his blood had stained the soil. "Then, at least don't carry it alone," she said. He turned sharply. "You're not part of this." "I already am." She made me keeper of her words. "Now I give them to you. That ties us both." He stared at her, breath shallow. "If they find out you told me, they won't. They always find out." "Then let them," she said, eyes fierce. He looked down at his mother's stone. His reflection caught in the polished crack of its surface. For a moment he saw her face there, thin and tired, watching. "I swear again," he said, his voice steady. "By the blood I gave, by the soil that holds her, I'll drag every secret into the light. I don't care if it kills me, his sister whispered. It will, then let it. They stood in silence, the wind carrying the weight of the vow. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. The road stayed empty. Finally, she asked, "Where will you start?" He pulled the folded scrap from his pocket, the letter from their father, edges worn from his grip. He held it tight. "Father left words," he said. "Warnings. Pride, power, debts unpaid. I thought it was just rambling. Now I think he knew." "Knew what?" "That the ground under us was rotten," she whispered. "Rotten with men." He nodded. "And I'll burn it out." Her voice dropped low. "Do you still believe in God?" He hesitated. "I believe in her. That's enough." "Then speak to her again." He leaned down, touching the stone one last time. "Mother, I'll finish what you couldn't. I'll turn their silence into screams. I'll carry your shame until it belongs to them." The words hung heavy. Final dot. His sister rose, brushing the dirt from her dress. "Then we walk home with the dead behind us." He straightened, slipping the letter back into his pocket. "No. From now on, the dead walk with me." They left the flowers trembling in the wind. The stain of blood darkened the soil, the grave standing crooked against the sky. The town's main street was near empty when he walked in, dust shifting under his boots, sun sliding low. The bank sat at the corner, its brick front sharper than the wooden shops beside it, a building built to remind men of who owned what. He stopped at the steps. The door gleamed, heavy iron fixtures set against polished wood. He could hear laughter inside, a round table of voices rising and falling, men safe in the knowledge that walls kept them untouchable. He stood still, hat brim shadowing his eyes, breath shallow, jaw tight. The sound of coins clattering on would cut through the air, followed by one man's chuckle that carried louder than the rest. A boy sweeping the porch across the street paused. "You going in?" The man didn't move. "You owe them, don't you?" the boy asked. He finally spoke. "Everyone owes them." The boy smirked. "Not me. You will." The boy looked down, brushing dust off the steps. "What are you waiting for then?" He turned his eyes back to the door. "For them to feel me here." Inside, the voices grew sharper. One man called out, "He ain't got a dime left." "Fool's ranch is dust." Another barked laughter. A third said, "Best thing she did was leave him. Can't tie yourself to a sinking mule." The man outside clenched his fist. The boy's sweeping slowed, listening. "Guess they're talking about you," the boy said. He said nothing. The door opened quick. A clerk stepping out with a ledger under his arm. He froze when he saw the man standing there. "You here for payment?" the clerk asked, forcing a polite tone. The man shook his head. "You're behind," the clerk pressed. "I know. They'll take the land soon. They already did." The clerk shifted nervously, adjusting the ledger against his chest. "You should speak with them inside." The man's voice was steady. "They already speak enough." From inside, a louder laugh broke, followed by a voice. "Leave him. He's too proud to beg." The man's jaw tightened, but he still didn't move. The clerk hesitated, then stepped past him, quick to be gone. The boy leaned on his broom. "Why don't you just walk in?" The man looked down at him. "Because silence is louder." The boy frowned, confused. Inside, one of the men said, "He'll sell what's left for pennies. Then he'll crawl." They always crawl. The man outside spoke low, but the boy heard. "Not me." The boy asked, "What'll you do then?" He stared at the door. "Wait." The bank's laughter grew again, overlapping, mocking, careless. The boy kept sweeping though. The dust had long been cleared. He wanted to stay near. After a stretch, the door opened again. A banker in a fine vest stepped out, cigar in his mouth, smug grin on his lips. He saw the man standing there and stopped. "Well," the banker said, blowing smoke, "look what the wind carried." The man said nothing. You've got a fine talent for being late. Late with your payments. Late with your woman. She knew better than to wait on you. The man's eyes rose, meeting his calm but cutting. The banker smirked. That's it. No words. I expected a little begging. Still nothing. The banker stepped closer. You think standing here makes you strong? You're nothing but an empty ranch and an empty name. The man finally spoke. You afraid to say that in the street? The banker barked a laugh. Everybody already knows it. Say it out here then? The banker's smile faltered, just for a second. Go home, boy, before you shame yourself worse. The man's silence stretched. His eyes never broke away. The banker shifted his cigar to the other hand, discomfort creeping in. You don't scare me, the banker said, but his tone was thinner now. The man leaned in slightly. Good, then keep laughing. The banker scoffed, but he didn't laugh again. He turned, stepping back inside with a slam of the door, muttering something under his breath. The boy's eyes were wide. You didn't say much. Didn't need to. They looked nervous. They should be. The boy asked, What happens now? The man adjusted his hat, still watching the door. They think silence is weakness. I'll let them. The boy tilted his head. That's the trick. It's the start. The street grew quieter as the sun dipped lower. The bank's windows glowed faint orange from lanterns inside, shadows of men shifting along the curtains. Their voices were softer now, no longer bold enough to spill through the walls. The boy whispered. You rattled them. The man didn't answer. He finally turned, walking down the steps slow, steady. The boy followed with his broom over his shoulder. Where you going? The boy asked. Home. Empty ranch, don't feel like home. It will. The boy hesitated. You really gonna take them on? The man's eyes stayed ahead. I swore it. The boy gripped the broom tighter. You'll need help. Not from you. From who then? The man paused at the edge of the street. The silence hung heavy. Then he said, From the dead. The boy frowned, unsettled. That sounds cursed. He didn't explain. He kept walking, boots grinding against the dirt, the bank's glow shrinking behind him. The boy called after him. They'll come for you first, you know. He didn't turn. Let them. The boy stood alone now, staring at the bank door that had closed tight again. The laughter inside never came back as loud as before. The night hung heavy over the ranch. No lanterns lit, just the pale light of the moon cutting across the field. He drove another post into the ground, hands torn raw, blood soaking into the wood. His breath was sharp, each swing of the hammer echoing like a gunshot in the still dark. The fence stretched ragged across the edge of his land, broken in places, leaning in others. He worked like a man possessed, refusing to stop though. His hands shook with pain. The crunch of boots on gravel broke the rhythm. Two drifters stepped out of the dark, shadows long behind them. They carried nothing but hunger in their faces and suspicion in their eyes. You work late, one said. He didn't look up. Fence don't fix itself. The other drifter smirked. Most men with debts don't bother fixing fences at all. I ain't most men. The first drifter leaned against a post. We heard you needed hands. I need men who don't ask questions. The second chuckled. That's us. He slammed the hammer down again, the post sinking deeper. Good. Then grab a shovel. The two glanced at each other. No pay up front. You'll eat. You'll sleep in the barn. If that ain't enough, keep walking. Silence hung a moment. Then the first shrugged and picked up a shovel. Guess dirt's dirt, the second muttered. Man works bloody. Maybe he's serious. He kept swinging, ignoring them. The wood splintered under his grip, palms burning. Blood streaked across the handle. The first drifter spoke again. You're tearing yourself apart. That's the point. You're trying to prove something. He paused only to breathe. To myself. The man studied him, brow furrowed. What kind of man bleeds on purpose? He met his eyes for the first time. One who ain't afraid of it. The second drifter muttered. Reckon you're half mad. Maybe, he said, and drove the hammer down again. The three worked in silence for a while. Posts were set, dirt packed, wire pulled tight under the moon. The land grew smaller with each repaired line, but the weight around them grew heavier. The first drifter finally broke it. Why fix what they'll take anyway? They won't take it. They already did. Papers say so. Papers don't hold land. Work does. The second spat into the dirt. Work don't stop bankers. Neither does begging. The words cut sharp. The drifters said nothing for a while when they reached the far corner of the fence. The man's hands shook so bad he dropped the hammer. The drifters watched him pick it up, knuckles swollen, skin split. You're killing yourself, the first said. He tightened his grip. Then I'll die standing. The second crossed his arms. What's the plan, cowboy? Fix a fence, scare a banker. The plan's mine. The first narrowed his eyes. You can't fight them alone. He leaned closer. I'm not alone. The drifters looked around, uneasy. Who else is here? The ground, he said. The house. The ones buried out back. They don't sleep. The second shifted, muttering man really is touched. The first, though, studied him longer. Or maybe he's the only one wide awake. The hammer dropped again, post by post. The line grew straight. Sweat mixed with blood, soaking his shirt, his breath breaking but never slowing. Hours passed. The drifters grew weary, shovels dragging, but he didn't stop. He pushed them harder, his silence cutting sharper than commands. Finally, the first drifter spoke again. You ever think about leaving? No. Why not? This is mine. The drifter's tone turned bitter. Nothing's yours, if they can steal it. He looked at him flat. They didn't build it. They didn't bleed for it. They just wrote it down. That ain't owning. The drifter's mouth twisted, but he said nothing more. The night deepened. Coyotes howled in the distance. The second drifter set his shovel down, groaning. Enough. My hands are done. The man grabbed the shovel, threw it back at his chest. Then leave. The drifter sneered. You think you're better than us? No, he said. I think I'm the only one willing to hurt for it. The second spat again and stalked off toward the barn. The first stayed, staring at him. You ain't normal, the first said. He gritted his teeth and struck another post. Normal don't win. The first drifter leaned on the wire. You sound like a man planning something worse than fences. His voice was low. Maybe I am. The drifter smirked. If you're planning to bleed them like you bleed these posts. Maybe I'll stay a while. The man said nothing, just drove the hammer down again. By dawn, the line was near finished. His hands were shredded, every finger raw, palms split to the bone. He wrapped them in rags torn from his shirt, blood soaking through fast. The first drifter stood beside him, exhausted but awake, staring at the field. Never seen a man break himself just to stand taller. He answered quietly, Then you ain't seen a man yet. The drifter's eyes narrowed. You're not fixing a fence. You're building a wall between you and them. He glanced at him, lips tight. Good. The drifter chuckled darkly. Then count me in. I ain't got much, but I'll swing till they notice. The man gave no thanks, only kept moving. His silence was enough. The sun broke over the horizon, orange light cutting across the torn earth. The fence stood taller now, straighter, each post a marker of stubborn defiance. The ranch looked alive again, even if only barely. The second drifter staggered out of the barn, eyes heavy. You still at it? The man didn't look up. The first said, He'll work till his hands fall off. The second shook his head. Then he won't last. The man finally spoke, voice low. I'll last longer than they think. The words carried across the field like a promise. The land once called worthless, shook with the noise of hammers. Dust rose from the ground like smoke. Boards were lifted, beams carried, walls staked out by men in sweat-stained shirts. The mansion was not yet a mansion, only skeleton bones reaching toward the sky. But the frame itself was enough to draw stares from the town. He stood on the ridge, silent, watching the lines of wood climb higher. The land was dry, but the men worked fast, paid faster. Each strike of the hammer echoed across the valley. A neighbor leaned against the fence, arms folded. "You building a barn or a palace?" He didn't answer. Another spat in the dirt. Man couldn't pay his debts last spring. Now he's hiring 10 hands at once. The first man shrugged. Somebody's backing him. Question is who? The second snorted. Who'd throw coin after him? Lost his woman, lost his cattle. Ain't nothing left but pride. Their voices carried, sharp against the clatter of wood. He heard it all. He kept his hands behind his back, kept his eyes on the rising frame. Silence was heavier than reply. By noon, more had gathered. Women with baskets slowed on the road. A pair of boys stopped their horses just to gawk. The town was small enough that any noise meant news, and news was what they wanted. A man called out from the shade, "Looks too wide for a ranch house. Too tall, too rich?" Another asked, "You expecting a family that size, or just ghosts to fill it?" The workers laughed under their breath but kept building. He walked down into the dust, boots heavy. One drifter wiped sweat from his face. "Boss, you want the rafters higher or leave 'em low?" "Higher," he said. The drifter nodded and turned back. Another worker spoke, words getting out fast. "You want folks asking questions?" "They'll ask," he said. "Let them." The man grinned. "Your money's good. That's all I care about." By evening, the frame stood tall enough to cast a long shadow across the dirt. From the road, it looked impossible, a skeleton of wealth rising out of ruin. The sheriff's horse clopped slow down the path. He reined in at the fence, squinting up at the work. "Big place," the sheriff said. He gave no answer. "Folks talk," the sheriff added. "They always did. You planning to move back in town with that?" "No, it stays here." The sheriff leaned forward in the saddle. "Don't much like mysteries. They stir folks wrong, then don't stir," he said. The sheriff's jaw tightened. He tugged the reins and rode off. Workers climbed down, stretching their arms. One younger man walked close. "I heard they used to laugh at this land. Said it was cursed. Nothing grows. Wells run dry. You believe that?" "No." "Then why build here?" "Because they said not to." The young man smirked. "That's reason enough." The night came slow. Lanterns hung along the posts. The crew ate from tins, voices low. One asked, "What's it gonna be? Mansion? Fort? Courthouse?" "Home," he said. The men exchanged looks. None pressed further. He walked the boundary, boots crunching dry earth. Each corner of the rising frame felt like a marker, like ground claimed by will alone. He remembered her words, her laugh when she called it worthless. He remembered the way she had chosen the bank door over this dirt. By the second day, gossip doubled. Men at the saloon slammed cards on the table and argued over who was pouring money into him. Women at the well whispered about secret heirs, hidden gold. Revenge disguised as carpentry. One neighbor caught him by the fence. "You can't build something like this without reason. You tell me, is it for her?" He looked at him, eyes steady. "No," the neighbor pushed. "Then who?" He said nothing. The man scowled. "You think silence makes you strong. Maybe it just makes you hollow." He turned and walked back to the frame. Silence again proved louder. The crew kept working. Sweat mixed with dust, shirts ripped, hands bled. Still, they kept hammering, sawing, hauling. The frame rose higher. Beams crossed like ribs, staircases nailed in place, though no floors yet lay beneath them. One drifter laughed as he worked. "Ain't it something? We're carving out a skeleton, and folks think it's a ghost already." Another said, "Ghost or not, it pays better than rail work. He passed them by. His palms were calloused, blood cracking at the edges, but he carried boards with them, swung hammers with them. He bled into the house as much as they did. By sunset the valley carried the echo of work. The town could not look away. A boy on horseback rode past and shouted, "You're wasting your coin, mister. That house'll sink." He lifted his head, then let it. The boy laughed and galloped off. The workers grinned at the answer. His quiet words carried weight. At dusk, when lanterns burned low, one man asked, "What do you see in it?" "Right now it's nothing but wood." "What do you see?" "I see it standing when they're gone," he said. The man nodded slowly. "That's enough." The crew fell silent. The night was still, except for the groan of timber. He walked back to the ridge, watching the half-formed mansion loom against the dark sky. Its bones were sharp, defiant. It was not finished, but it already spoke. The whispers would keep coming. He would not answer. Silence was the wall no one could climb, and so the mansion rose, beam by beam, under the weight of every question left hanging in the air. The dining hall smelled of roast meat and smoke. The governor's brother had sent the invitation himself, written in stiff letters, folded neat. He came anyway, dressed in the only coat that still held its seams. The long table stretched under chandeliers lit by oil flame, their light sharp against polished wood. Servants moved in silence, setting plates heavy with food no ranch hand had ever seen. The governor's brother sat at the head. He was younger than expected, hair combed, rings glittering across his fingers. His eyes never left him. "You came," the brother said. "I was asked. You could have refused. I don't refuse often." Knives, scraped plates, silver clinked. "You're making noise out there," the brother said. "Building. Call it what you like. It rattles men with more to lose than you, than they should hold." Tighter. A small smile flickered at the corner of the brother's mouth. "You talk as if you've already won." "I haven't said a word of winning." "No, but you don't have to. The house itself speaks." Silence pressed between them. Servants poured wine. He left his untouched. The brother leaned closer. "Do you know why you were invited?" "You wanted a look?" "A closer one." Rumors spread fast. "They say you buy men by the dozen, that you bleed money like a well that never runs dry. I'm here to see if the rumor is a lie." He cut into the meat, slow. "What do you see?" The brother's eyes narrowed. "A man who knows too much silence. And silence is dangerous." He kept eating. The brother waited. The governor's portrait hung above them, eyes watching both sides of the table. "You should have stayed small," the brother said. "You could have scraped by. A shack, a herd, maybe peace. But you didn't. I built. You built a challenge. I built what they said I couldn't." The brother's jaw tightened. "That's the problem. Men of means don't like to be proven wrong." He set the fork down. "Then they can stay wrong." The brother gave a short laugh. "You're not frightened?" "No, not even of old money. Old power? The kind that buries men without leaving a mark." "No." The brother studied him. "You should be." Servants cleared plates. The room felt colder, though the fire still burned. "You know what men call you?" the brother asked. "I've heard names. They call you Ghost Bill. They say your walls rise faster than death takes the weak then. They've been watching close. They fear you." "Good." The brother leaned back. "You think fear will keep you alive? It already has." For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the drip of wine filling glasses, the crack of firewood splitting dot. Finally, the brother said, "What do you want?" "Nothing from you. You'll need allies. I'll need time. That house won't stand alone forever. It will draw knives, bullets, and debts you can't repay. I'll stand it myself. You think pride is enough. I know it is." The brother's hand tapped the table. "You remind me of my father. He fought the governor for scraps of land, died broke, left nothing but anger. I'm not your father. No, you're worse. You carry a quiet kind of anger. The kind that spreads. He met his stare. Maybe that's the truth. The brother gave a slow nod. Truth slips easier with wine. I don't drink. Then let me drink for both. The brother lifted his glass, swallowed deep, and set it down hard. Men like you upset balance. Balance is everything. Balance never built anything. It built peace. It built silence. Same thing men mocked me with. The brother's lips curved. And now you turn silence back on them. Exactly. The chandelier flickered as the fire snapped. A servant froze, then moved again. You should know, the brother said softly. The governor won't let this rise unchecked. I'm not asking him to. Then, you're daring him. If he sees it that way, he will. They sat across from one another, each anchored by their own stillness. The brother broke first. Do you hate her? He looked down at the plate. No, you should. She laughed at you. Walked out for better. She chose her road. And you chose to build a road bigger than hers. That's all. The brother studied him long. Old money doesn't fear hunger. It fears shame. You're not starving them, you're shaming them. He said nothing. The brother smirked. I almost respect it. Almost. You won't live long enough for more. He rose from the chair. The servants stiffened. The brother stayed seated, eyes sharp. You're leaving? I came from meat. I got it, and no warning. None worth saying. The brother laughed low. Then, keep your silence. But remember, old money is patient. Patient enough to wait for cracks. He turned, walking past portraits and chandeliers, boots echoing off the floor. The doors opened wide, the night spilling in. He stepped into the dark. Behind him, the governor's brother called out, voice echoing, when it falls, don't say you weren't told. He didn't answer. Silence walked with him down the steps. The mansion would rise. Old money would wait. But for now, his silence was louder than their threats. The dust rose before the wagon even turned onto the main street. Folks on porches leaned forward, hushed. She sat tall on the bench seat, though her hands shook around the reins. The fine clothes no longer fit. The shine had faded. Her hair clung limp in the wind. The wagon rattled, carrying trunks that looked too heavy for one woman. The rancher stood outside the supply store. He didn't move when he saw her. His shirt was patched, sleeves rolled up, hands scarred with fresh cuts from wire and wood. The street stretched quiet between them, like everyone waited for the first word. She stopped the wagon. You're back, he said. Her eyes locked on his. I had no choice. There's always a choice. You think so? I know so. Her jaw tightened. He's gone. I figured. Men like him don't disappear quiet. He left me nothing. Sounds right. She slid down, boots hitting dirt. The trunks wobbled in the wagon behind her. She stood close now, near enough he could see the lines that hadn't been there before. You're thinner, he said. You're harder, she answered. Silence held for a breath too long. You thought I'd laugh, he said. Maybe. I'm not laughing. I know. A child whispered from a doorway. A shopkeeper closed shutters. The street stayed still. She drew a slow breath. I should have stayed. You didn't. I thought I wanted more. You wanted easier. Her eyes dropped. Yes, and what did you find? Cages, chains, dressed like comfort. He studied her face. She didn't look away. You came back with shame, he said. I came back alive. That counts. She stepped closer. Do you hate me? No. You should. Maybe once. And now? Now I just see you. Her throat worked. She blinked fast. You've changed. So have you. She glanced at his hands. You bled for it. Every night. You built that house they talk about. Yes, it's real. Stone, wood, sweat, nothing borrowed. Her voice thinned. I heard it rises higher than the town hall. It does. You did it without me. I had to, she swallowed. I thought you'd be nothing. I was nothing. Then I started digging. Her eyes flicked to the street, catching the watchers. They're all listening. Let them. She stepped closer still, close enough to touch him, but she didn't. Can I see it? The house. Yes. You'll see it when you've earned it. Her lips trembled. And how do I do that? You already know. The silence cracked again. Horses stamped at the hitching post. Wind carried dust across their boots. You still wear her ring? She asked, voice sharp. My mother's, he said. I remember. It never left me. Her breath caught. I wanted it once. You lost it the day you left. She looked away, jaw tight, eyes wet. Do you ever think of that night? Every day. And the words I said. They kept me alive. Alive. They burned enough to push me. Her shoulders slumped. I didn't mean them. You meant every one. She shut her eyes. Maybe then was enough. Her hand hovered at her chest. I came back to beg. Don't. I have nowhere. You have the trunks. Clothes mean nothing. They meant everything once. Not anymore. He stepped forward now, his shadow folding over hers. You don't need to beg, but you don't get to pretend. I know. You left me for wealth. You return with dust. That's the truth. Her lips quivered. Do you want me gone? I didn't say that. Then what do you want? I want you to stand in the dirt you made. Her chin lifted, defiant, through the tears. I will. Good. Their words ended there, cut sharp. He turned, walking back toward the store. She stood alone beside the wagon, the trunks swaying in the dry wind. Neighbors whispered from behind curtains, their voices low, carrying the shame she could not hide. As he reached the doorway, she called after him, Will you ever forgive me? He didn't turn. Maybe when the house is finished. Her voice broke. And if I help? He paused, hand on the frame. Then we'll see. The silence swallowed the rest. The door slammed open before the knock could land. Boots hit the polished floor with authority. Dust rose, even though the halls had been swept twice that morning. He didn't wait for greetings. The sheriff stormed in, badge catching sunlight, eyes burning. I told you to stay out, the rancher said, stepping from the shadows. I told you this town answers to me. The sheriff shot back, and I told you nothing about me answers to anyone but myself, the rancher replied. The sheriff's hand twitched near his gun. You think a mansion makes you untouchable? It makes me real, the rancher said, voice low, calm. Unlike some men who hide behind badges. You've built enough to scare people. I'm not scared. You should be. She appeared at the staircase, silent, hands clenched. Stop it, she said, both of you. The sheriff's gaze shifted. Step aside, woman. I'm not stepping anywhere. You'll get hurt, the rancher said. Maybe I want to see who bleeds first, she said. The sheriff's eyes flicked to her, then back to the rancher. I'm here for justice, he barked. Your debts, your defiance, your pride, they belong to the town. Not anymore, the rancher said. The sheriff's hand went to his holster. Don't make me, I've waited, the rancher interrupted. I've bled enough to last a lifetime. You think this house shields you? It doesn't. I do. Footsteps echoed as the sheriff advanced. Every step was deliberate, a threat. She stayed at the landing, watching the confrontation unfold. You can't do this, he said, voice sharper. Watch me, the rancher replied. A second passed, then another. Tension coiled tighter than a rattlesnake. You'll regret this, the sheriff growled. Maybe, or maybe you will, the rancher said. You leave me no choice, the sheriff muttered. I left you plenty of chances, the rancher said. They circled each other, the space between them charged with unspoken history. Every shadow in the hall seemed alive, moving closer, waiting. I don't fear you, the rancher said. You should, the sheriff snapped. Metal sang as guns cleared. 2 quick movements, One step, one glance. The first shot cracked through the hall, echo bouncing off empty walls. Dust rained from the chandeliers. She gasped, covering her mouth. "Drop it," he shouted. "I'm not dropping anything," the rancher said, fire in his eyes. A second shot rang. Wood splintered. The floor beneath them shook. "Enough," she yelled. "Stay back," the rancher barked. The sheriff staggered, blood spilling from a shoulder. His grip loosened. He cursed, eyes wide. "You should have stayed away," the rancher said. "You'll pay for this," the sheriff spat. But the words carried less weight now. "Maybe, or maybe you already have," the rancher replied. She stepped forward. "Stop it. Stop, both of you." The sheriff stumbled, trying to lift his gun. It slipped from his hand onto the tile. The sound was deafening, echoing down empty halls. Blood pooled where he fell, staining the floor she had once dreamed of crossing in silk shoes. "You're done," the rancher said, standing over him. Don't kill me," the sheriff whispered. "I'm not here to kill," the rancher said. "I'm here to survive." She ran down the stairs, hands trembling, to the rancher's side. "He's still alive," she said. "I know," he said, "and he'll think twice next time." "Next time?" she asked, voice shaking. "There won't be a next time," he said. "Not if he's smart." The sheriff coughed, spitting blood onto the floor. You can't keep this up," he said. "I've kept it up," the rancher said, voice hard. "Longer than you know. You've built a monster," the sheriff muttered. "No," the rancher said. "I've built a man who refuses to be broken." She touched his arm, hesitant. "It's over," she whispered. "Not yet," he said, "but it will be." The sheriff groaned, moving slightly, but the rancher didn't relax. He kept his eyes sharp, measuring every movement. The mansion seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind outside stopped in reverence or fear. "You made it this far," the sheriff said, voice weak. "But old friends, old debts, they'll come for you." "I'm ready," the rancher said. "Every one of them." Her hands shook as she looked down at the blood-stained tiles. I thought this was just another house," she said. "It's never just a house," he said. "It's proof that nothing left behind stays buried." A long silence stretched between them, broken only by the sheriff's ragged breathing. Dust settled again. Blood darkened the polished tiles, a permanent reminder of what had come before. What could have happened, and what had changed? "Get up," the rancher said finally, "and leave, or stay down forever." The sheriff's eyes widened. He coughed once, then another, before slowly dragging himself to the doorway. She stepped aside as he stumbled out, leaving behind the smell of iron and regret. The rancher exhaled, shoulders sagging slightly. "We're alive," he said. "Yes," she said. "But what now?" "Now," he said, voice low, "we build what can't be taken, and we leave the rest behind." She nodded. Dust and blood mixed underfoot. Silence stretched across the empty halls, heavier than before. The mansion had endured. They had endured, and outside, the wind carried whispers of victory and warning alike. The sun rises over the mansion he built from nothing. Every wall, every floorboard, a testament to blood, sweat, and patience. She watches, regret and awe in her eyes, realizing what she left behind. The past lingers like a shadow, but it can't touch them now. The poor cowboy didn't just return. He claimed what was always his, and in the silence of empty halls, a new beginning waits. Power, pride, and revenge all settled. The mansion stands, and he stands with it.